Rock 95, it is Spence. And we're jumping in here and we'll cut off Disturbed here because we have a special guest. And when you have somebody who's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you got to roll with the punches a little bit. We're talking with Glenn Hughes. How are you?
He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and he's in bed at the moment. No, sort of on the bed anyway. Hey, nice to see you, Spence.
Nice to see you. And such a pleasure to talk with somebody who is, the voice of rock, for God's sake.
Well, it's good to be here speaking with you.
Yeah. Well, tell me about, okay, it's been a weird couple of years for the music industry and the whole COVID thing and not being able to tour. And now you guys have this new album out with the Dead Daisies. Tell me how you got involved with this project to begin with. How'd you get in on the Dead Daisy stuff?
It would have been around February of 2019. I had a meeting with David Lowe, guitar player. He flew out from New York, where he lives, and we met in Hollywood at the Sunset Marquee, and we talked about what they were wanting to do with me. Maybe I would come in and join the band, and David asked me if I was available to do some work, to do some writing or come up with some songs. I went home that day and I wrote a few songs, and we got together in the summer of 2019 at Sunset Sound Recording Studio in Hollywood, one of my favorite studios. I brought with me a few songs, Holy Ground Unspoken, which you know about, and Righteous Days, and we recorded them as demos, and it went great. So we decided we would go further, and we went to the south of France in November of 2019 to record the album, which, as you know, is called Holy Ground. Songs were written again in the fall of 2019, pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when we listen now to the songs, the lyrical content of Holy Ground, you're thinking, surely Glenn knew all about this pandemic, but I didn't. And the album was supposed to come out in the spring of 2020, but it didn't for obvious reasons. So we've been sitting on the album. The album came out in 2021 in January. And here we are now touring in America.
Tell me about when you first started playing with these guys, what that was like, because this is a really talented group, and including yourself. Did it click right away when you got into that first rehearsal and like, hey, this is pretty damn good?
It did. I've known Doug Aldrich for a long time. Doug played in my band 5 or 6 years ago. So it worked very well. Again, the songs we're doing is classic rock. We didn't want to change the format of where the Daisies were. We wanted to stay in the same genre. I don't like to label terms classic rock, heavy metal, hard rock. It's just rock music. So we just figured we'd stay where we were and stay in that ballpark.
Well, I tell you what, with this new album, and I was listening to that again yesterday when I was out on my run, and if people haven't checked out Holy Ground, God, please do so. It's a blistering album. I mean, beginning to end, I don't know if there's even one slow song on here. It's just bang, bang, bang. It's just one killer track after another.
Yeah. It was designed to be that way. I don't think anybody wants to have filler on an album. So a lot of songs were written for the album. 3 or 4 songs didn't make the cut, but we figured the songs you're hearing were the songs to make the album. So I'm glad you and everyone else feels the same way.
You've got, these blistering vocals and God, and Doug and David with the guitar work. It's special. The beginning to end, it's a nice little journey with different tempo of the songs with like My Fate and Unspoken, things like that. And we'll get to the new track here in a second, but good Lord, this is a really talented and well-produced and well-sounding album.
Thank you. It was well put together pretty quickly, by the way. From the summer to the fall, there were songs were presented, and we worked with our producer, and we went to France, and we did it.
I tell you what, the other one, there's a song on here that I think is really good too. It's the cover song, the Mott the Hoople song, 30 Days in the Hole. That's just, that is stellar. Well done.
That's a song that my friend Steve Marriott wrote, and I dearly love Steve, and we figured it was a good idea to pay respects to Stevie Marriott.
Yeah, well, you did a really nice job on that.
Thank you.
We'll get to some touring things in just a second, but this new release just came out 2-3 weeks ago, less than a month ago, with Like No Other. It's the second song on the album Holy Ground, and a killer track. Tell me about the tune.
It's a groove, you know. Doug and I came up with the groove, and we went in the studio. Again, Spence, this album was recorded live, and live in the fact where I had a microphone, I was playing bass and singing some of the songs live. And when I didn't have I knew the title of the song, Like No Other, but I didn't know it was going to be called Like No Other. As I'm singing, like you're like no other. Then I came up with, can you feel my bass line? It came out of nowhere. And as I heard the song back after I recorded it, I'm thinking to myself, and I said to Ben Gross, does that work? Can you feel my bass line? And we came to the conclusion, yes, it did work. So what you're hearing, Spence, is a live rendition of something that was written on the spot, with no lyrics in front of me. So when I shouted out, can you feel my bass line? It worked. So, and that song is a typical example of where we're going with this band. It's a groovy track.
Yeah, good Lord, it's great. Please check out Holy Ground. So you're just now starting to get a bunch of tour dates. I know you did some posting on social media, I think over the last several days, 4 or 5 days, of some tour dates. What's the plans? You're going to do a lot of more extensive touring as things kind of open up a little more as we get toward the later part of the year?
As you know, we've just done 3 shows. One in Florida, one in Nashville, and one in Tennessee. Two in Tennessee, and now we're on the way to Detroit. We're in Cincinnati right now. We're doing 6 more shows. Then we were supposed to go to the UK and do a series of shows, but we can't get in because of the quarantine. So we then start the real tour. It's called the Like No Other Dead Daisies tour. Starts in Rockford, Illinois, September the 10th, and that is the official start of the real tour, which will be global for, I don't know, maybe 18 months.
Very cool. Got such a pleasure to talk with you, and wish you guys the best. And hopefully you get up here to Minnesota so we can check you out live. Because
kidding me, my in-laws live in Minnesota. Are you kidding me? I'm always there, multiple times a year.
Well, can't wait to see you up here in Minnesota. Thank you so much. And I got a chance to talk with Doug. God, it was late last year. He was such a wonderful interview too. Yeah. But say hi to him. I appreciate your time as well, Glenn. Have great success this summer, and maybe we'll get you up here to Minnesota.
Minnesotans, I love you. I'll be back. And Spence, thank you for your love. And everybody out there in rock and roll world, we love you. And I can't wait to see you all.
Let's fire this up. This is the Dead Daisies brand new track, and Like No Other. Thank you, Glenn.
Spence, thank you.